Welcome to Inside the Village, a podcast from Awaken Village Press. This is a space for honest conversations about creativity, meaningful work, and the journey of bringing ideas into the world. And also the bigger questions that shape our lives and who we become along the way. Through different conversations and reflections, my hope is that this podcast offers you not just insight, but a sense of connection, a reminder that you're not doing this alone. I'm really glad you're here. Hello, and welcome back to Inside the Village. And today at the threshold, we have an awesome guest who I am really, really excited about because as some of you may know, but many of you do not, Megan, also known as Mira, also known as Mira Megs, depends on who knows her, who's saying her name, what phase of life you met her at, how she's feeling. But I met Megan or Mira many, many years ago, right? Like over a decade ago, which is amazing. And I love that about our story.
I know. Me too. Me too. Yes. We've gone through a lot of chapters in our evolution.
So many. And we are at the threshold today in a very big way. And it's so perfect because I've been really excited to talk to you about all these things. And I cannot wait for our audience to hear more about you, about your forthcoming book, about our summit. There's so much good stuff that we're going to be talking about today. And I'm really, really excited. So yeah, you are not only at the threshold of writing a book, which is absolutely something that we're going to be talking about, but you're at the threshold of like having a different conversation around money. And you're doing this in a lot of different ways. And it's a conversation that I think more of us need at this time, which is why I'm so excited. And I've been so privileged and honored to watch versions of that unfolding and being a part of it in different ways. And I just feel like this is just another extension of that today.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so a little bit about you, so our listeners know who you are. So Megan Lathrop is a writer and a guide whose work sits at the intersection of money, nervous system, and self-trust. And her forthcoming book, There's Nothing Wrong with You, which I love, by the way, invites women out of shame and into a new relationship with themselves and with money. So Megan, or Mira, I'll be calling you Mira today. Thank you for joining. I'm so glad to have you on the podcast today.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. And I couldn't be happier than to be here. Well, we just giggled for a minute before coming on air because we didn't want to tune into anything until coming on here, just that we're at a threshold. I honestly it's so perfect. So I'm so happy. I hope this conversation is healing and transformative for us as we share, that we get to even move through and gain new insights around what we're experiencing.
Absolutely. I feel it will be. And so that's actually just a great segue into my first question, which is, when you hear the phrase at the threshold, like what comes up for you personally right now?
Yeah. Well, the image that comes to my mind when I think about it is like you're just like standing on the edge of something, like a terrain that you've known, or like a familiar soil, and there's this like body of there's foreign territory in front of you, and it's like, are you going to swim? Are you going to keep going? Are you going to jump? Are you going to enter, cross the threshold into what's next, into the unknown? And I think, internally, though, I know it's this crossing for me. I've had a few of these, and this is a very key one. It's like this transition of like identities and ways of being and like ways of organizing our lives. And I think when we're in a threshold, which is so unique that I am in such a distinct one. And this is, I believe, what you call this, the series of this podcast is, when it's not linear, it's messy. Like we don't know when we're in it. It's like, it's not like a polished time. Like your current identity has sort of expired and it's softening and kind of falling behind you, but you haven't yet landed in this new way of being or this new architecture. So I'm in somewhat of a disoriented yet fresh yet true space that I'm navigating. And it's interesting to say, I know we're going to keep talking about it, that I'm in one I'd love to share next, kind of like the different thresholds I think I'm in. But what's powerful about this, as I'm hearing myself share with you, is that I consider myself a guide who guides people through their thresholds. But they're usually thresholds I've already gone through before, so I'm a little more comfortable. I sort of know the terrain. It makes sense for me to be a guide and point out some of the markers, people are traveling through. But I think for me, I'm in now kind of my most stretching threshold of unknown spaces. So it's uncomfortable to be honest.
I love that you're sharing this, and of course, I'm like, "What is it? Tell me more.
I will, yes.
Tell me more." Do you wanna share a little bit more about this
Yeah.
this big threshold that you're
Yeah.
in? Yeah.
Well, something that really activated it, I suppose, last week that had me come into like a deeper recognition that I'm in this threshold is I got some feedback from a friend that they wanted to have more, they weren't experiencing having enough time with me and they were getting mixed signals as to like if I was available or not. And, only spending several hours together wasn't landing to them as like a priority. And that feedback kind of triggered me internally. I didn't get triggered with this person, luckily, but it triggered me and activated me internally to look at how overextended I was in so many areas of my life. I was like overextended in the amount of time and energy I was giving clients that was far surpassing what the agreements of our containers were. I was overextending in what I was spent, the quality drop in kind of emotionally relating time I was doing with friends. I was just overextending time, energy, and intentions. And so I spent the last like 5 days not looking at it from like a productivity and prioritization, day planner approach. Like, how can I pull this back? I looked at it from a standpoint of like, what's motivating these behaviors if like it's not serving me or the other people perhaps. And I started to look at the shadow elements of like giving and over giving in client relationships to really blow away their expectations and have them be so satisfied and for me to continue feeling safe and secure and needed as a human on the planet. And just from a pattern that from a pattern of just putting the other first, putting, responding to what's coming in, engaging with what I think needs to happen for other people and at, the expense of myself. And, there's some layers as women, and I'm sure you can relate to so much of this. I think there's some of it that's could be kind of textbook in the way we've been socialized as women or different paths we may have taken with whether it's with religion or being in communities where we really are kind of trained into being like not self-serving and very other focused. But this was more nuanced than that because my life is working pretty well and I am like a pretty high functioning human, that this was a more subtle layer of refinement that really activated some deep healing, which I can share more about, but maybe I'll pause there to see how that's landing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm loving that, the themes of giving and expense and overgiving and safety and feeling secure, like all of these themes are coming up in this identity threshold that you're at in. And I also just love, one of the things I love most about you is how in communion or in connection with others in relationship, you are so capable and like well tuned attuned to taking, like receiving information and then learning and then processing and seeing what's there for you. I think, witnessing you in relationships of all types, whether that's in client type relationships or with other authors or in community or personally as a friend, or however you navigate that so well. And I can see you being so intentional with it. And so I just really love that that was this wasn't an identity of who you are in the world for in terms of your work or your gifts or
Mm.
like it's like, no, this is who are you in the world in terms of how are you expending your time and energy, and where are you overgiving, or where are you, again, like on that
Mhm.
very, very nuanced level. And I love that. I love that so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Beautiful.
and those inner pieces, are at the root of the external shifts that I can touch on. So it was like this was the layer that would actually make space or allow for some of these identity shifts that are maybe more externally recognized to happen. And so, yeah, I think, you know, one big piece to say one last thing about the internal sort of shift was like this recognition of how much those are still kind of surface behaviors, those things, because underneath all that was still this belief that it would be selfish to put myself first. And, and I'm working through that up to this day, like pretty actively the last 3 days,
Yeah.
like what would it look like? What would my day be like if I was actually putting myself first and I gave and engaged, from a bit of an overflow. Of course, we're always kind of working, engaging, and pushing ourselves a bit, but not from this overextension place. And that is rewiring sort of my relationship to my health and fitness, my relationship to rest, my relationship to like slower work, but I think there's something kind of unique starting to happen, that this isn't just about, boundaries and being interdependent with people. This is starting to present itself to me as like a shift from being of service to others, which is my life's work. I believe in that. That's my highest excitement, to like being in devotion to something greater, like does require my capacity and availability as a vessel to serve from this next place.
Wow.
And so that's
Yeah.
opening up this actual genuine motivation and desire to honor, myself in these ways, because it is for something greater, and it's to be a creator in the sense, one of my favorite quotes, this woman, Barbara Marciniak, she wrote the book Bringers of the Dawn. I actually quote this in the current Substack article I'm writing right now. That I'll just summarize the quote, but it's basically saying like, one of the greatest acts we can do is like lessen our response to all the signals in the world and absorbing all that, and put out our own signal. That's actually what. And so this
Wow.
this whole identity shift and this whole crossing is all the beliefs and patterns, relationally, financially, that are about my voice, about being more public versus a private, person with my sharing, is all sort of shifting along this spectrum to my grappling with what does it mean to put our own signal.
Amazing. Oh my God. I love that. Let's
That's a
pin
big
that
answer to
one.
the question about the
That
thresholds.
was great. I was wanting that. I was hoping you would go there. I was like, let's go. Like let's open the doorway
Yes!
wide and let's see what's there. I do have a question that, and it actually has to do with like the bigger cultural shift. And I'd be curious how this might connect to what you've already said a little bit. But, you write about women trying to fit into the systems that were really never designed
Yes.
for how we naturally move through the world, right? And so, but what do you think we're collectively waking up to right now? And I think this could be the financial systems, and maybe there's some other systems at play here that you want to name. But what are we waking up to right now that you're
Yeah.
noticing and you're
Yeah.
writing about?
Well, oh my gosh, my divine feminine wanted to be like, well, the suppression of the feminine. Well, that,
Yes.
there's just that we've been, there's nothing inherently wrong with the patriarchy. I don't believe, the patriarchy isn't some of the people who we have found maybe haven't been supporting our planet. We'll leave it at that. But like the patriarchy rooted inside of, with capitalism, inside of effort and performance and like about maximizing and quantity and all of that, is what we're right. We all know we're coming to an end. Like that's not working. And so what I believe we're waking up to is like, what is this balance of calling forward each of our unique, like feminine aspects of like receiving, of slowing down, of this embodiment, of deepening. And so, I mean, we could answer your question in a lot of different ways of what we're waking up to. For me I'm choosing kind of this space to say it's like, it's the feminine embodiment, which for each person is like their own way. So for me to tie that to some of the work I'm doing and some of the conversations even we're having as authors and writers, it's like this having authorship of your life, which is like noticing all of this information coming in, telling you to live a certain way. And like, this is like the great resistance, like, like choosing to actually create your life as you know it to be true. And it's the simplest thing. And it's going to be a journey of a lifetime for all of us, right? To like actually face everything that comes up that is the distance between where we are and us living the life that's true to us. I mean, that is going to be alchemizing and moving through and transmuting so many identities and beliefs and patterns and programs and ways of engaging in communities and families to move through that. So,
Well
yeah,
said. Well said. And I mean, so many good things.
I
I
know.
want to, with that in mind, because just to hone in even a little bit more, clearly on your work in the world. I mean, you spent years in the very traditional finance world, right? I didn't even cover that in your bio, right? But you
Yes.
have a decade plus or more, right, years at Morgan Stanley or JP Morgan and
Yeah.
these other, right? You've done a ton of work in the financial world. And of course, it's been really awesome to watch your evolution over the last decade. But again, you've written that money still didn't feel safe, right? I think there's this whole thing of safety and money. And I mean, as I feel into like feminine, I mean, even just right now in this moment, I feel into the feminine receiving, there's some vulnerability there, right? There's this, when I'm getting goosebumps, right? Like it's this idea of, is it safe? Is it safe?
Yes.
And and I'm even feeling that in my life right now. Like, is it safe to choose my path and stay on
Yeah.
my path?
Yeah.
Because it sure doesn't feel safe some days, right?
Right.
So if you want to kind of go into more of your like, even some of your personal story here, or just even what you're seeing with clients, but like what shifted for you? Take us on that little journey
Yeah. Yeah.
of,
You're getting me excited for when in our call we get to chat about something that's alive for you.
maybe this will segue us into that. So let's go. Yeah,
Because
I
that's
love
one of
it.
the pieces I feel for that we
Yeah.
share is in this, and many people and women around receiving, and under that this like safety to receive, and there's deep roots, right, in what that could be from. But maybe where I'll start, just to say a few things, and let's sort of, riff back and forth, but is like my journey has been like a path of shedding myself of all senses of false external safety. So like the external, so this is kind of a deep subject. So I'm not suggesting that everyone needs to go through the lengths that I did. This is like my body of work and dharma and passion. So I had a more extreme path in this area. But I think in some way, like our systems know that some of these structures that are here to provide a sense of security and safety are rooted in something we don't inherently resonate with. And so to kind of take those in as our sense of safety and survival has a bit of a betrayal in it to ourselves. This isn't even part of something I've written in either of my books. I'm just sort of saying it this way live with you now, just from the way that you asked the question. Like what's showing up is like the current systems aren't actually set up to create a sense of safety. They're designed to set up growth and honoring, certain objectives. I mean, we could look at what our system is honoring right now, and it's the race with the top AI companies racing to be the first one to have certain things. Our system isn't, and that's just one example. Our systems aren't set up to be the safest or the most inclusive or the honoring the most marginalized or to prevent someone from slipping through the cracks. Our systems are rewarding being the first, and the fastest and, the cheapest and all of that. So I think many of our feminine natures, men and women, this is not just for women, that are more sensitive and attuned to this, don't really trust that system to be there for us, right? Yet we're living a life entrenched in that system, with that being what we think is going to support us and have us feel safe. So my journey, Amanda, back to kind of what you're pointing at, is like I've gone through phases of giving away large amounts of the funds that I had, selling investments that I've had, giving away and letting go of most of my belongings, because I saw that it was rooted in fear. Like I was holding those belongings, or I was like just in case something happened, or, you know, for a bunch of other reasons that weren't actually like in the truth of who I am. And so that journey that I've gone on of shedding my sense of safety and coming from a marriage, I went through a marriage that I thought, because we both shared the same belief systems, that I would be safe and secure in that marriage. And that fell apart and did not work. And actually, the very thing that didn't keep us together was like the belief systems and things I had put my safety in didn't support us in continuing the relationship. I left my corporate jobs. I left, many things, the vision of becoming married and having 2.5 children and living in a home with a picket white fence, like that picture of safety and security for the American person. I left all those. And I think by going down that path and allowing experiences to happen and allowing myself to become someone who would like advocate for myself, I got to develop an attachment, more and more secure attachment with life itself. So it's like I moved from my sense of safety being in the government, in a job, in a marriage, in being a mom and having kids. And again, none of these things are inherently good or bad. I just saw that I was placing a sense of my safety and security, belonging and deservedness to be here in those things. So as I shed all those and let those all go, like what I found, and it's sort of like actually the opening of my book that you and I have talked about so much, like a scene where I'm sitting there on the floor kind of with nothing. I really did find myself. And I found like the beginning of my connection with like my voice, my will, my feminine force, all these pieces sort of started coming back online and alive that are now like where I'm living from as I'm deepening this connection that is with life, not with any of those contexts or structures.
Beautiful. And Mira, you and I have talked a lot about how while very different, we've had very different journeys. There's been a lot of parallels and a lot of overlap, and
Yes.
as you've described, this letting go of the external security, it's like, oh, and I talked a little bit about that actually in my second book, Becoming Free. Quick plug for that, because I talk about that very thing. Like I had to, I got to this point where I just kept letting go of everything. I mean, I too let go of the corporate job. I too let go of the safety net of my savings and my 401k. I too let go of the partnership of, I mean, I also was married and
Yes.
divorced way back, so there's all these like letting
Oh,
goes, right? And these stripping away. But you articulated it so beautifully, and like it's like these were all the illusion of security, right? That we not again, not that any of them are bad or wrong, to be in partnership, to be in a
mhm,
home, to have money
mhm.
and resources, none of these are bad. It's just to the same point. I remember in a very similar way sitting on my bedroom floor just being like, I have nothing. Like there's
Yeah.
just, and there's this point of when I reach that point of nothingness and being okay with that. And this is probably going to lead us into where we're going to flip the tables because I can already feel it coming. So like but this was like 10
Yeah.
years ago. Okay. For
Yeah.
10 years, I feel like
Mhm,
I've been working this edge
mhm.
of if I can be okay with nothing, then I'm prepared to be okay with everything. Right. That was one of the first thoughts that I had. Now, fast forward 10 years, and even though I feel like I've done so much internal work, and I definitely had, I mean, there's always work to be done, but there's been so many layers that I have healed and looked at. And like you've played a role in that, even in some of your money conversations, in some of your other groups that you've done, in a lot of the writing that you've done that I've had the pleasure and privilege of reading and reviewing and talking with you about.
Yes.
You've helped me keep seeing like, oh, where am I still, like, what is my relationship with money, or what am I not looking at, or is there still shame? And then I'm like, oh no, I feel great. Okay, I think I'm good. I'm good. But
Yes.
then, like, even
Yes.
as of this morning, I had another one of those moments of looking at my bank account and thinking about what I have coming up in the next week and being like,
Mm,
wow, and I felt so much sadness and so much like, why does it still feel this way, right? Despite what I feel like I've been doing and honoring. And so I'm
yes.
at it like that. So you just are like, for me, the perfect person to talk to about this.
Right.
And we're just doing it.
Mine.
We're doing it. So yeah, yeah, like the 3D world doesn't yet seem to be reflecting, not that it hasn't ever, but
Yeah.
not in like that
Yes.
consistent,
Yes.
stable to feel
Yes.
secure. Like
Yeah.
I'll say one more thing before I pass the mic back to you. Like you talked about this beautiful, like developing a secure attachment with life. I love that because I do feel I have a secure attachment with life mostly, right? Like even in these moments, I still feel I know I'm okay. I know it's going to work out. Like I know life provides. And then there's that tension point of, well,
Mhm.
why does it have to feel so hard, or why, or whatever? I
Yes.
don't know. So then that moment
Yes.
comes up of
Yes. Absolutely.
sadness.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I honor you, and I'm glad that you're just feeling the sadness and bringing it here,
Hmm.
and let that be here with us and inform the space. Yeah, because there's like a longing, it feels like,
Yeah. Yeah.
for that shift to happen. And is that longing feeling familiar to you? Yeah. 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 So there's just, so I'll reveal too as we go just some of my inner thoughts just for everyone and you.
Yes.
And it's just sort of entertaining, I think. So my mind right now is noticing we could go a couple different ways. One is a little bit more of a like kink direction, like playfully, like it doesn't go like sexual, but it uses the word kink as like a way we are with life. I might do that because it brought a giggle out in
Hmm.
you.
Mhm.
We'll start there, but we'll include some of the other pieces of thinking. So when I say kink, I mean like sometimes there's experiences we're having in life that like we don't necessarily want. Like we don't want to be having. Like we don't want to be feeling sad maybe or feel this longing. But there's some juice and aliveness if we can connect in to the part of us that like so now I am being very playful, but I am also going to ask you to really like tune and look into this with me as we're going. Like feeling into that longing, feel that longing that you have, like that longing probably for that aligned relationship, a longing for everything with money to work out, like a longing for that thing, those things to finally click that you know you're putting energy and intention out for. Like, where's that coming back? Can you find that? Now, this is going to be hard. This is we're starting off. This is a fast start to jump right into this. So I really honor you right now. Can you find like a part of you that like, you can kinda like, it's almost like you like it a little bit, like, it's like a dark part. It's like and it was in all of us. You are not, being singled out in any way. But, like, can you find that part that's like, I'm, like, kinda used to I like that, like, somehow, like, that is there's something in that that's sort of like a turn on, like, there's this
Yeah.
something. Can you
Yes.
what is it like for
I
you?
actually can, and I mean, you're doing a great job helping me get there quickly. Like, I can feel it, and I am feeling it in my, like, my pelvic bone. It is
Mm,
right down there. It's right in that root
yeah,
chakra, right
yes,
above. I'm it's like
yes,
it is a
great,
slight pulsing or tingling. I mean,
yes,
it is just subtle,
yes.
but it's there, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Ooh,
Yeah. 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 Great. Beautiful, Amanda. Beautiful. So this is so much of what you've touched on, the pieces, what are showing up for me is like it's the full embodiment of some of what you have worked through. And there's a level that's attachment style. And there's a level of just us getting this energy to move. And it is erotic energy, but it's because it's life force energy, it's creative energy, it's sensual energy within your own self, right? So this is the piece that like us just touching on this and moving creates your flow and and movement. So I think there's some part that maybe doesn't have the full trust yet with life and in that there's not like the movement, right? Or the receiving where it kind of completes like a cycle or whatnot.
okay."
So yeah, what's coming up?
Mhm.
Yes,
Well,
please share.
I'm like, "All right, everybody, this is it, and we're going there, and this is, Mom, stop listening if you don't wanna hear any more, okay? Pause the podcast now." Um I'm realizing that, like, as you say that, I think about my connection to orgasm or my connection to pleasure and how so often I feel like it doesn't fully, like, I mean, I
Yes,
can, you know what I mean? But
yes,
there's like a, doesn't have a
yes,
full
yeah,
whatever
yes,
release
yes,
or
yes,
something, right? And
yes,
I'm
absolutely,
noticing as you're
yes,
saying this, I'm like,
yes, great.
because I'm trying to tune back into that sense of longing, right? This longing for the aligned partnership, the money, these things working out that can feel so painful. And yet, to your point, if I really get quiet, there's a little like a turn. It's like, oh, it's like, well, it's kind of nice to like desire something, right? There is this like,
Yes,
ooh,
that
the
exact
wanting, the
yes,
wanting can feel
yes,
really good.
yes, yes,
And then when I realize that in the moments where I do get to consummate desire with another, it's almost like sometimes it doesn't fully like complete, right? And so it's almost like I can keep myself wanting, keep myself wanting, keep myself wanting. So there, that's coming up right now.
yes, great, perfect, Amanda, beautiful. Yes to all of that. Thank you for sharing it all. Yes. So that's that familiar state. So that's sort of an imprint in your field that is what's creating the experience with money and maybe in because it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing moving through these different pathways, right? So I'm being emergent with you, just I'm following the energy in the field and where it wants to go. So I think first, just now, let's staying with your embodiment. We're going to kind of be a little bit more psychological now, but totally stay connected to your body, to those feelings. You can name things if they're coming up. So we're including that first and foremost. So, but now just psychologically. So this is some deep shadow work we're going to touch in. So this is sort of if you can cough up a little fur ball or like say the thing you might not want to say, right? It is for you and it's for everyone, it'll be like relieving most likely. So what are you getting out of that though? Like,
There's okay. So one thing that's coming up is So when I have that strong desire, that longing, that like, oh, whether that's for a man, for connection, for money, and then when it comes, and it's usually like delayed or it comes a little later than I thought, it's like I get this really big hit of like, oh my God. Oh, it's like this,
That's
like, it feels like it's bigger because it wasn't expected. It
kind of
wasn't
like, yeah,
anticipated.
delayed. You like that.
Right. It's
This
like, ooh,
tension longer, building
yes,
all this foreplay. It's like
right.
almost like you're like almost begging for it from life
I'm
inside. Uh-huh. Woo! This is
I'm
perfect. This is so good.
begging for it.
This is so good. Yeah. So, yeah.
Mhm.
So we're going to just stay with it. I'm going to kind of interlude, kind of talking while letting this kind of move through your system and being present with it. So, and I want to give you like some insights too, that like by becoming conscious of this and it not just being with anything, a default way of being, right? Just like the things we were talking about earlier, all those things, to be married or to have children are beautiful, especially when they're a choice. But if they were just like a default way of being, they're not going to be as fulfilling or serve their purpose. So same thing here. It's like, there's nothing wrong with any of these ways of being. It's the power is being conscious of it, because then we can choose which parts of our life do we let that play out, and then really maximize that, like fulfill on that experience in the areas you want to have that, versus it trying to get our attention through all these other avenues where maybe it's costing us or we're not as conscious of it or whatnot. So if you were to think about that, so that act of, okay, why I'm paused for a second is because I was
Yes.
like, can we really do this here? And I think we will.
Yes.
Can you act it out a little bit more now? Like maybe with me, if you feel comfortable, you can pretend I'm anybody, or you can pretend, but here, let's talk this through how you can do this, because what really moves this energy, because our goal right now is we don't have an outcome. There's nothing that needs to happen, Amanda. So there's no pressure. But we just want to see what happens if this energy moves to the next spot, or we bring a little more awareness to it, or we're a little more conscious to it. Consciousness is brilliant. It's going to do its own thing. We're just players right now. So if you were to play and let yourself be now consciously in that energy and even exaggerate it, like archetypally exaggerate it. You want to do that, and just
Yeah.
we'll do like a minute and just kind of see where it
Yeah.
takes us. Okay. And would you like me to be a character in this with you? Like I can be a man,
Yeah.
can be money, I can be someone on the street, I could be anyone. Is there someone I
Yeah.
can be, or would you like to do it on your own and not have me as like, a kind of character?
I love you being a character. And I'm feeling so to me, and I maybe I already told you this, this is all coming around, by the way. And by the way, everyone, giving a huge plug to Mira. This is what she does with people. So if you need this, you want to do it yourself, we're going to make sure you know how to find her because she's brilliant. I'm like, this is amazing. So it was funny because I think I maybe mentioned, like, I've been working with my money honey. So you're like, I do see you being my money
Mm,
and a man. So you're
okay.
basically one in
I
your
love it.
money and
Honor.
man.
Okay. And how will I be acting in this dynamic? What's my orientation to you?
Well, it'd be interesting. Like, I'm curious about you. Is this the healthy version of what I want, or is this like what I've been dealing
I
with?
want
Are
to
we
be
kind of
with
turning it up?
yeah, where
What
you're
I'm
deal
with?
with you're
Yeah,
with, and then we're going to
yeah,
even exaggerate
yeah,
that.
yeah. So you're kind of interested, but like not super committal. You're not really like you're not super intentional. You kind of just show up when you're ready, when you want.
Okay.
But you definitely let me know you're interested.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh. I give you that enough. Okay. Okay, great. Mhm. And so no, I'm going to play that part. I'm also going to exaggerate it. And so know that we're totally in play, right? We're setting up a kind of a deep thing frame pretty quick. So we're going to won't be too long. But a couple things, know that we're completely playing. We're both completely going into like you're being you, but I'm asking you to go into a certain channel, right? So you're not acting, but you are sort of amplifying an aspect of yourself, right? And then at any point when you want to stop, just say red light, or if you want it to slow down, say yellow light, and either way we'll also stop in about a minute or so. But know that you have those safe words if you're just like I've had enough, like do not hesitate to use those. And knowing that you can also gives your consciousness and your being the ability to fully engage, knowing that you are taking, authorship and power over what's feeling right for you. Yeah. Okay. 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 So you can't do anything wrong. So go ahead. We're just playing. So the scene is open. Well, yeah, I'm totally interested in you.
Yeah, like, you're like so, like, do you wanna hang out? Do you wanna, like do
I
you wanna
do
come over?
I mean, I'm not, like, available all the time, but I do wanna hang out when I can, and I want that to be really quality time when I can, but, I'm not like, not, like, totally available, I'm kinda
I mean, like I mean,
but
I
I'm here right now.
well, I oh my gosh, because 'cause I've been I don't know, I could just, like, really use your presence, and, like, I just wanna, like, feel you and, like, have you here right now, and
That feels kind of like a lot. I mean, but I'm here, but I'm not here.
uh,
I'm
okay,
here.
well, I mean, I don't really listen, I don't really need you. No, it's like, don't no, it's okay. Like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
I
It's
really liked
okay.
your vulnerability that you were showing earlier, though, that you need money, you need other people, I thought.
Well, I do need you. I do, but, like, I'm coming off as too much. I'm just so afraid. Like, I'm feeling really, really, really self-conscious that I'm, like, coming on a little too strong and I'm being a little too much right now.
What would it be like? I mean, what do you mean? Like, what would it be like if you really showed and said what you wanted? What would that be like?
I mean, I'm s really scared to tell you what I want. I'm actually really afraid to tell you what I want.
You, what do you feel afraid of?
I mean, if I told you how much I really wanted you, then you are going to leave.
That's like the formula that you have in your head. You have me figured out.
Yeah, I have you figured out.
Have it like
And
that's my name
yep,
tag. Once I know how
mhm,
much you want me, I'll leave.
yep,
And that's how it
yeah,
goes?
that's how it goes. If money knows I want it, it doesn't seem to show up. If men know I want them, they don't call.
Hmm. Well, what's the way that's you acting from this place that you've never really done before? Like that's kind of being in that place you were talking about earlier.
Okay. So, like, just tell you how much I would enjoy spending time with you and like how great it would feel to be with you and like how meaningful it would be. And this feels so vulnerable to say.
Well, it feels nice to hear. I noticed myself kind of like leaning in, like you might, do you think you could receive me though?
I mean, I would like to. Yeah.
And do you think like you could kind of, I don't know, like own your experience of that?
Oh, um, I'd like to. Yeah.
Seems like you're up for the challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you feeling now? I'm gonna have to go here pretty soon for today, but I'm feeling right now as we connect in this place.
I mean, it feels nice to be honest, and it also feels a little vulnerable, but I would rather feel that vulnerability than what I was feeling before. I'm a little I don't know, I'm excited to see where this goes.
Wow, I have actual tingles on my arms. As you were saying all that, I really felt like I could come closer. Like
Mm,
I felt like you were sharing that I could there was space for me to kind of come in. It was like
mm,
I could be closer when you were something about the way you were sharing.
mm.
I could feel myself still.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay.
Okay. Scene. We'll call it the scene.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
coming out of our scene. So now we're gonna do some
Wow.
stuff here for you and just some integration and chatting. Amanda, you did so awesome. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
That's so was fresh. Like how was that for you? What did you notice? How are you feeling?
I mean, well, it was tricky to go there. I could feel that. And when I started playing into what I actually would like to how I'd like to be with men, with money, again, to me they're one and the same.
Yes.
I did feel a softening and I did feel the vulnerability. So it's like, I mean, I was able to play it out here and I could feel like, oh, that is so vulnerable. And it was almost surprising to me how vulnerable that still felt because yeah, yeah.
What? You're
But all I was going to say is like, I consciously know. I mean, there's a lot of like, I can observe my life and go, oh, yeah, it's hard for me to like communicate my feelings or it's hard for me to just say, hey, I really want to whatever. And I know that consciously, but, like, getting the opportunity to play it out, let me feel it. And
Yes.
so I'm excited to actually listen to this again and hear the difference from
Yeah.
how I operated at the beginning to then how I was invited to behave and notice the difference.
Yes, it was so palpable.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. May I share? Are you open to just
Please.
talking
Yes.
about it and some reflecting? Okay. Well, I experienced you shift into this like such this like soft, open state. Your eyes changed. I felt your body language shifted. Like that was all what genuine. I got goosebumps as, over here and genuinely found myself drawn in. Whereas in the first part, I felt like I was leaning back, right? And so, like, wow, like, way to go to that vulnerable place. And that's that being receptive, right?
It, and what's interesting is it's being receptive, though not in the way that I always think. And maybe some of us also don't think, because it was me also
Yeah.
expressing and me
Yes. I know.
claiming my desires
Uh huh.
in a
Exactly.
soft offering instead of, and it wasn't a demand.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a lot of exactly, exactly. Yeah.
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 Wow.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, something that I wanted to share with you that came up too, just on maybe a deeper level than maybe we went to in the play, but just to offer you as something to contemplate on, or you can share it out if it resonates with you, is like, I think there's an element of when we are wanting, engagement from another like money to participate with us in a certain way, or a person to dance with us in a certain way. I think money and the person, I think, feels pressure unless they can unconsciously tell that we are going to be responsible for our experience of that. Or like we will, it's almost like, I mean, in the sexual worlds, it is almost like, I mean, in the most, kind of cutting edge, female empowerment, around your sensuality spaces out there. It's like own your own orgasm, like own your own pleasure. It's like it's not up to the other person really. It's like it's in our body. It's our own feeling. Like they're playing a role, but like do we trust ourselves to take that in? Do we trust ourselves to receive that money, or are we putting it on them to do it a certain way, money to kind of come in a certain way, or like maybe the way we think. So I just wonder if there's something, I mean, because that's something I think for all of us. I just wonder if
Mm-hmm.
there's something in that space that is sparkling for you.
I'm probably, and this to me feels like, okay, I am so excited to like take it and be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to sit with this. But the one thing that was coming up, I mean, as you said, that was, yeah, the pressure. Of course, that's always the thing. I'm hyper aware of me putting pressure on people and money, but money through meet people, right? I mean, money comes through people, so it's not really different. And interestingly, I'm thinking, okay, so then where could I unconsciously still be sending the signal, or consciously, but unconsciously sending a signal that I am not responsible for my experience? And I'm like, interesting. So that to me, I don't know if I have an answer right now, but
Yeah.
that I'm going to be
Yeah.
taking with me
That's
and
a,
going, ooh, good
mhm.
question, good
Yes.
question.
Yes,
Yeah.
because
So
I feel
wow.
I find like that the most powerful people in the like entrepreneurs, just change people like working with resources, impact, like they're not needing money or things outside themselves to be a certain way. Like they're being the creator. It's kind of like what I was saying earlier. They're putting that signal out, and then money comes to that, is aligns with that, and is received and is worked with, and they're and like and this is an art form. This is a life journey. This isn't like, an overnight switch, but I think this is a really beautiful North Star, and like, and same thing in relationship, right? If we're like sovereignly interdependent, and that's one of my key words of this sort of threshold that I'm going through. And like, I guess I've invited you to walk along the same threshold together. And like, of this exploration of being sovereign and intimately connected with people. And this is a part of that. It's like it's all happening in our system, and it's deep. It's like, we're not psychologically putting that out. We're not emotionally putting that out. We're not verbally. It's kind of, and that's where I think this beautiful part you're in your journey is like, I think you have profound connection and understanding to all this. And there's like for so many of us, it's the embodiment. It's coming all the way into the body. And that's why I think, because I don't do this with all my clients, by the way, like this role play is fun, and we do this in a lot of workshops with a lot of setup and whatnot, but it's because this is embodied. That's where the real layers start to land. It's on a cellular level. So these are the pieces that I think will make the timeline, back to your original question, like how can my outer layer start to land with, it's like, because we receive it in the body on the most cellular level, has to that's how it anchors. So this is
Beautiful.
totally your doorway into that.
Yes, thank you.
I'm
Well,
excited.
I am too, and I'm so grateful, and I love that you went on that journey. I love that those still like listening. I thought that was brilliant. I hope it's like watching a hot seat coaching session, obviously,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Where those listening got something out of it and got to really witness truly the gifts that you have. Mira. I mean, like
Mm.
this is who you are, whether you do this exact thing, the way you hold space, the way you guide people into their knowing, into their truth, into their bodies. It's just, that was amazing, amazing, amazing. And before we still have a little bit of time before we wrap up, but I do want to
Yeah.
guide us back to you and end your body of work and what you're doing. So, is there anything else you'd like to say to sort of complete this
Mm. Yeah.
experience?
Well, my body of work is very embodied. So
Yes, it is.
that's what comes through. No, so yeah, it's about, I mean, this body of work, I mean, just playing off of this little ending
Yeah.
for a minute before I answer more seriously, is that it is about aliveness, So, like, so much of what happens for us around relating to money and trying to fit into the boxes and into the models and into the systems and have it work out and have our bills get paid and da da da, it gets very serious, and we lose a lot of our aliveness, because it's not like a natural fit, or there's stress or strain happening in our nervous systems. And so much of why play and looking honestly in a safe container at our shadows and not doing it alone and engaging with other people and like showing up in conversation in a place where we know we're going to be supported and like many other people are going to be relating to it completely is like how we do it. And so it's like it's an alive field. And so, I mean, this isn't what I'm writing about in my book or whatnot, but this is more the container of the philosophy, is that like this is a living journey of going from sort of this, from scarcity and sort of disconnect and trying to fit into all of these ways of operating back into our aliveness as like an connection, as an access back to all of our energy channels open and moving, that we're in this field of giving and receiving and opportunities and connection and synchronicity and creating. And we're not just responding to what's being offered to us, and we're creating from this true place inside us that is what the world needs from each of us now more than ever. And what keeps most of us from being able to do that usually is our fear around money and survival and having what we need. So we all are on this journey of sort of accommodating and stepping kind of out of our heart's alignment and soul's alignment to kind of make things work. And that's okay, because it's sort of the game that we're in. But as we come together more and more in these conversations and spaces, we're able to like let that move more and come more into this actual circulation, and like these newer ways are emerging and landing all around us. And then we play very differently even inside the old system, because it doesn't have power over us. It's like when we're under something, it's very contracted. But when we're able to see it and be in choice with it and be like, I chose that, I'm choosing this job, I'm choosing that, like, then it has a whole different aliveness, and we have a whole different orientation to it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And you basically answered my last question. So that was, I mean, the question I was about to ask you. So that was amazing.
Just
So
tone.
by again, yeah, quick plug, by the way, again, for those listening. Mira will be one of our featured speakers. She's also one of our emerging voices at our summit this
Yes.
June, this month. So, really, really excited to have you there. We're going to get to hear
Me
so much
too.
more from you about your book, also just about these big conversations and what money is and how we're working with it. And I mean, yeah, you're going to, I'm very, very excited. You'll get to hear from her a couple different times during that week. If you do want to register or grab a seat, it's free to join us. So just come on over, awakenvillagepress.com/summit. The link will also be in the show notes. But before we wrap up, I wanted to also just say, it's interesting because you do talk a lot about shame in with money as well. And you were talking about these, like when we're like under, when we're still in the system,
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like so much of what you and I have talked about, what we work through, sometimes what the system sets us up for is to feel so much shame, right? Whether we feel ashamed that we don't have enough or that we feel ashamed that we're doing it differently, or maybe whatever the shame comes from.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes people have shame about having money. I don't know, right? There can be shame in having money as well. So there's like all this shame wrapped up. And I was just wondering, what would you say to the person listening who, is just like, I don't know, I'm just bad with money, or I don't, like they're feeling some shame around their relationship with money. Like, what would you offer them, or what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say I'm in a very playful mood right now, Amanda. So
I
I'm being
love it.
just direct. I would say, well, come out of the closet and come to the next money conversation I'm hosting, which will, I'm not, the date will be before this podcast is aired, but there'll be future ones. But the reason I say come to one of these conversations is because just by hearing other people share their money stories and money realities, and if you choose having a chance to share a small or a big part of yours, the shame melts away by not being alone. It really is. It's almost like a formula. Like if we start to learn these new formulas, it's like there's these old formulas that like don't work and these like new ones are showing up that it's like shame sits in us, right? That like we're bad or we're wrong. And as soon as we realize that like other people have navigated the same things, and what if it's not us? Like, what if there's nothing wrong with you? Like, all of a sudden you're not doing anything, and that shame does start moving because we're shining light on it. We're actually looking at it. We're bringing fresh energy to it. We're bringing it into the present moment. So even people that come to conversations I host or just spaces that are out there that are having transparent, open conversations about money, it moves by sitting in the room, by being with people, by sitting around the table and letting things come out of your body and out of your mouth, like it moves. And so I do invite that. I invite, the last chapter of my book is about, it's called, it's a form of participation. I'm not going to give the title of the chapter away. It's fun. It's a fun title. But like, I don't think we think of money like as a field we get to participate in. And so like if we're at home behind our computer looking at our money, or we don't have a job and we're feeling bad, or we are doing well but we feel guilty, it's like, how can you participate? Like, is there something? And it might not even be what you think. It doesn't have to be a traditional answer like you have an abundance of resources, like think of where you can give it. Maybe, but maybe it's something else. Just get on a conference, just get in some communications and conversations with people and start seeing what life is actually presenting you uniquely as the next step along your journey. And the ripple effects of that, especially when we have resistance and don't want to, and we do take that step, are pretty noticeable. And unexpected things happen. And so all of a sudden, then you're back in this game and playing with life, and you kind of forget it was even about money to begin with.
Love that. Wow, I love that so much. Okay, good. So, Mira, let's make sure before I will have one last final question for you in a moment. But before we get to that, where can people learn about these money conversations or find out more about you? And we'll put it in the
Yes.
show notes, of course. But for those
Yeah.
listening, where should they go?
Yes. Well, please follow me on Instagram. I am growing a lot of engagement and videos and community on there. Also, I have a Substack account. We'll put all this in the notes. I'm sharing a lot and really loving to get engagement and comments and what's resonating with people. And then, of course, I have my website, which is Financier.
Yes. Yes, yes. So we will put all those in the show notes. So do go follow Mira. She produces beautiful content. I mean, everything she does is gold, and it's so insightful. I mean, truly, her Substack, her Instagram posts, we are eating them up over here. But before we let you go, again, register for the summit, awakenvillagepress.com/summit. Before we let you go for this, given that this is an At the Threshold episode, I just want to ask for someone listening who feels like they're standing at the edge of something, whether that's with money or writing or relationships or whatever life, what would you want them to remember?
That they are not lost, that they are in between like stages or in between identities, and there's nothing wrong with them. It's so funny. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. Because even in this stage, I thought, yes, something's wrong. Yeah, that there's nothing wrong with you. Keep going. Yeah.
Beautiful. What a great tie back. All right. We can't wait for that book to come out later this year. And of course, again, thank you for being here, Mira. Thank you for that gorgeous session. Thank you, all of you, for listening. Make sure that you are following us, following Mira, like us, subscribe it, do all the things, do all the things. Help this episode go far and wide. More people need to hear it. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mira.
Thank you, Amanda. Yes.
Thank you for being a part of this conversation. If something in today's episode resonated with you and you're wanting a space to explore your own creative path, I'd love to welcome you into the Authors Village, our community for writers, creators, and thoughtful humans walking this path together. You can learn more through the link in our show notes. Until next time, thanks for being here.